What is your advice to the new female Shahādah, the new Muslim, who rushes to wear Niqāb and get married? If she's rushing to wear Niqāb and get married for the sake of Allah, فَالْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, then actions are by their intentions. Wearing Niqāb is a virtuous deed and getting married is a virtuous deed. It's half of the religion. So if she's rushing to do virtuous deeds, judging her based on the apparent thing, we say, may Allah bless her and aid her in what she goes forth to do. If she is doing it out of showing off or things like that, then this will not be accepted from her, and she should perform her actions with sincerity to Allah Ta'ala. And there are many women who accept Islam, and as non-Muslim women, they are tired. They are tired of dressing up, and tired of doing their hair, and tired of putting on makeup, and tired of showing off for the men. They are really, in their lives, they are exhausted. And a lot of women, they look at the Muslims, and they see this hijab, and they see this, the covering, and it's very attractive to them, because they know these women are free. These women can relax. These women don't have to toil and exhaust themselves to keep themselves always looking beautiful for the men everywhere they go. But rather they can relax. And then they beautify themselves for their husbands, right? But they can relax and they can cover themselves, and they don't have to worry about every eye that's looking at them, and do they look good enough, and are they impressive, and all of that. Those non-Muslim women are tired and exhausted. And many of them come to Islam, and they are so happy to finally just put something on and cover up and end this whole thing about worrying what the men think about them and so on. So maybe it's not rushing, maybe it's just a big sigh of relief, a big breath of fresh air to finally get rid of, all the dressing up and all the beautification and adornment for the men. And so we should look at that as virtuous. Wa alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. And wearing niqab as well, as we mentioned, is a virtuous deed, and getting married is something that will help her complete her religion. So we should be encouraging new Muslims to dress properly and to get married. There's nothing wrong with that. We shouldn't tell them slow down and stop and wait. Maybe a woman would come to Islam and she's been missing the solid foundation in her life of a husband. She's been missing the completeness of a family and a marriage, a life of marriage. And so she's looking forward to that. And we tell her, slow down, give yourself at least 6 months before you get married or something like that. And then she doesn't have enough patience and she leaves Islam because she's not stable enough in her religion. That husband will come and take care of her and support her and give her stability. And he also benefits from her, and he gets stability in his religion as well. And the husband and the wife support each other and complete each other as people. So I don't see any reason to tell people to wait before getting married, especially if we just return back to the simple, easy system of Islam of getting married, right? Where it's not this, excessive spending. A person goes broke paying for the wedding reception and these matters related to the wedding, but you keep it simple and on your level. Whatever you have, you throw a wedding party, even if it's just by slaughtering one sheep and sharing it with a few people. If you had 10 people, 15 people, slaughter one sheep, put some food together from that with a small amount of money, or even less than that. Some of the Sahaba used to hand out bread. They used to hand out small pieces of whatever they could put together when they couldn't afford a sheep. All of that is from the sunnah of the Messenger ﷺ that has been forgotten. And people overburden themselves with marriages today to the point where they make it so difficult on themselves that they have to wait and save their money and all of that. But if we return back to the ease that the Messenger ﷺ taught us, we would find خَيْرُ الصَّدَاقِ أَيْسَرُهَا, the easiest dowry to pay is the best one. The sister who has not lowest, it doesn't mean lowest, but the easiest dowry. And so what that means is, if a rich man comes to marry her, and this man has $1 million, she says, no problem, 50,000. And she takes 50,000, and he says, that's easy, no problem, you're worth it and more, and he gives her 50,000, and it's easy. If a poor man who's pious comes, and he says, I only have $500 to my name, she says, okay, $100. And she makes it easy. Her wali assists her and supports her in making that easy. If she wants to marry a pious man who will help her get close to Allah Azza wa Jal. So in that is khayr, and when you understand that khayr as-sadaqi aysaru, the best dowry is the one that is easiest to pay, and it's relative to people's levels of economic or financial, levels. That it's the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam who's telling us about this khayriyah, about this goodness. That means it's the goodness that's with Allah. It's the goodness that's lasting. It's the goodness that has barakah with it, with blessings, and that makes the marriage successful. And so, taking the easy route and getting married, when Allah makes that easy for us, can be a source of a lot of happiness for us and a lot of ease in this life. Should she try to understand her religion first? Perhaps she may not be able to understand her religion very well on her own. Let's say she has a non-Muslim family, she's alone. Let's say the sisters' study circles where she attends are not very good or something, and she has an opportunity to marry someone who's knowledgeable enough to teach her about the religion. So then this marriage to this man is a way that opens up learning. And there are many sisters in a case like that. So we don't say learn the religion first before you get married. Perhaps she can't, and getting married is the solution to learning, Perhaps she would love to travel, to visit women who are knowledgeable, but she can't travel. As a new Muslim woman, she can't travel. She has no male mahram in her family, right, to travel, to take her to these places, right? Maybe her family are all Christians and they don't want to take her anywhere. They don't believe it's important to, chaperone or take a woman somewhere outside of the country. And if she gets married to a husband, he would travel with her to places where she can learn from sisters or even learn from the scholars in places that have that set up for women. And a lot of that opens up for people when they get married. So don't assume that marriage means that you learn less about your religion after marriage. For many people, it's the opposite. And if you married one of the scholars or one of the students of knowledge, then you would find a lot more access to the knowledge than you had before you were married, right? That's why a lot of people recommend that you try to marry a scholar. It's from the best and most pious of the people are the scholars, those who truly fear Allah. Try to marry a scholar. If you can't marry a scholar, marry one of the students of the scholars, so that you can learn your religion, have access to knowledge. And Allah knows best.